Alrighty, guys, it is Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. We're now 3-0 in our last three $1.99 daily best plays on my website. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my Major League Baseball free pick video here today for Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. Happy Tuesday to you. Hopefully you got your week off to a really good start here. Now, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. Once again, guys, I'm 3-0 my last three $1.99 daily best play on that website. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my website is I actually share with you which one of these free plays on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. And of course, guys, if you sign up for my $1.99 daily best play here today, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days. And of course, if you want to see a video breakdown of every single one of my personal plays here today, you may want to think about signing up for my full access, all-inclusive Chairman package. Chairman members get access to every single personal play of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. And of course, as an added bonus, you also get access to my Chairman podcast every single day during that time frame. I currently have over 520 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Angels at the Orioles, 6:35 Eastern first pitch. Baltimore's minus 135, totals 9.5. Dean Kramer for Baltimore, Chase Silseth for Los Angeles. Now, the Angels lost 6 out of their last 9, and they have a losing record against American League opponents. They're facing a Baltimore club who's a top 10 run-producing team. Cedric Mullins, he has a team best 32 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Ryan Mountcastle, he's the club leader in homers and hits. And even though Dean Kramer's had a couple of shaky outings on the bump, he's still 4-1 on the season with 32 strikeouts. Now, injury-wise, Ramon Urias is still out for Baltimore. Rendon, Stassi, and Walsh are inactive for LA. When it comes to the total, 6 out of Baltimore's last 7 at Camden Yards stayed under the number. They're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 at any location. Give me Baltimore minus 135, under 9.5. Next game, Pirates-Tigers, 6:40 p.m. East. Detroit's minus $1.20, totals 9. Michael Lorenzen for Detroit, Luis Ortiz for Pittsburgh. Luis has an ERA in the 3s after a handful of innings. This Pirate lineup is also averaging just about 5 runs a game on the road. Jack Sawinski and Andrew McCutchen, they're tied for the team lead in home runs. Meanwhile, Brian Reynolds, he has the club lead in hits. They're facing Michael Lorenzen, who's got an ERA in the 4s and just 1 win on the year. And even if Lorenzen has a good outing, these Detroit hitters are scoring fewer runs a game than any other club in the majors except for one. Now, injury-wise, Carpenter's still out for Detroit. When it comes to the number, 3 out of Detroit's last 4 at Comerica Park fell under. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh saw their last 4 straight road games stay under the total themselves. Give me Pittsburgh plus $1, under 9. Next game, Nats-Fish, 6:40 p.m. East. Miami's minus 145, total 7.5. Jesus Luzardo for Miami, Josiah Gray for Washington. The Grays got 3 wins on the year and an ERA in the 2s. And believe it or not, guys, the Nats are in the top 3 in the league in hits per game on the road. Joey Meneses leads the club in batting average, RBI, and hits. Meanwhile, C.J. Abrams has 22 ribbies on the season himself. They're facing Jesus Luzardo, who's got a 1.41 whip. This Miami lineup also scores fewer runs per contest than any other franchise in baseball. Now, Cooper's still out for Miami. Sanchez and Chisholm are questionable. Meanwhile, for Washington, Dickerson, Robles, and Pineda, they are out for them. Now, 7 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings did stay under the total. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. The Nats are also 60% to the under in their divisional games. Meanwhile, Miami's 15-7 to the under at Lone Depot Park. Give me Washington plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. Next game, Yankees Blue Jays, 7:07 Eastern first pitch. Toronto's minus $2, totals 8.5. Kevin Gausman for Toronto, Domingo Germán for New York. Now, Germán's got a losing record and an ERA in the 4s. The Pinstripers are also in the bottom 5 in the American League in hits. They're facing Kevin Gausman, who's got 67 strikeouts and just 48 innings of work. The righty's also got an ERA in the 3s along with a 1.10 whip. And when it comes to offensive production, the Jays are in the top 5 in the American League in hits at home. Bo Bichette's 4th in the league in batting average. Guerrero and Chapman, they're also hitting in the 300s. Now, Donaldson and Stanton are still out for the Bombers. New York also went 9-1 to the over in their last 10. Now, Toronto, on the other side, they saw the over cash in 6 out of their last 10 themselves. Give me Toronto minus 1.5, over 8.5. Next game, Mariners, Red Sox, 7:10 Eastern start time. Seattle's minus 165, totals 9.5. Luis Castillo for Seattle, Nick Pivetta for Boston. And even though Pivy struggled, he's fanned 36 batters and just 34 plus. Now, this Boston lineup also averages more hits a game at home than any other club in baseball. Alex Verdugo leads the club in hits. Of course, Rafi Devers, he's 2nd in the league in runs batted in. Now, they're facing a Seattle lineup who strikes out more times a game than any other team in the bigs. Lots of strikeouts. Tough time hitting the baseball. They're also averaging just 7.5 hits a game. That's nearly a league low as well. Dylan Moore is still out for Seattle. Arroyo and Chang still in the IL for Boston. Red Sox are 17-7 to the over at Fenway this year. They also went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 at any location. Give me Boston plus 1.5, over 9.5. Next game, Rays, Mets, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. The New York Mets are minus 160, totals 8.5. Justin Verlander for New York, Jalen Beeks for Tampa Bay. Now, Beeks has 16 strikeouts and a 1.25 whip. He's also backed by the best hitting lineup in the game. The Rays are averaging a league-best 10.5 hits a game on the road. Yandy Diaz, he leads the team in batting average, home runs, and hits. He's actually in the top 10 in the majors in all 3 of those categories. Meanwhile, Randy Arozarena, he's in the top 10 in the bigs in batting average, home runs, RBI, and OPS. He's also tied with Diaz for the club lead in homers. They're facing a Mets team who has a losing record at Citi Field, and they simply can't hit the ball. They certainly can't hit the ball in Flushing, Queens. They're striking out nearly 10 times a game in front of their own fans. They're also averaging just 7.3 hits a game in their own ballpark. Now, injury-wise, Nitto and Locastro are out for New York. The Mets are currently 67% to the under at Citi Field. Meanwhile, Tampa went 5-4 to the under against National League opponents this year. Give me Tampa Bay plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Next game, Brewers, Cardinals, 7:45 Eastern first pitch. St. Louis is minus $1.80, totals 8. Jordan Montgomery for St. Louis, Wade Miley for Milwaukee. Now, Miley's got an ERA in the 3s along with a 1.13 whip. This Milwaukee pitching staff's also in the top 5 in the National League in fewest runs allowed. They're going to face Jordan Montgomery here today, who's just 2-5 for the Cards with an ERA in the 4s. And out of 20 ball games at Busch Stadium, the Cards got the W in only 35% of those contests this year. O'Neill's still out for St. Louis. Carlson's questionable. Meanwhile, for the Brewers, Yelich is questionable. Voit is out. Now, St. Louis is 14-6 to the over as the home team this year. Meanwhile, Milwaukee saw 3 out of their last 4 on the road get over the total themselves. Give me the Brewers plus 1.5 over 8. Next game, Braves, Rangers, 8:05 East. Atlanta's minus $1.20, totals 10. Jared Schuster for Atlanta, Dane Dunning for Texas. Now Dunning's 3-0 with a 1.72 ERA. This Ranger lineup also leads the Bigs in run production. Adolis Garcia has a league-best 42 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Marcus Semien leads the roster in hits. They're facing Jared Schuster, who's walked 9 batters in just 8+ innings of work. And no real shock here. Schuster has an ERA in the 8s. Now at the plate, the Braves certainly have a tough time making contact with the baseball. They're currently in the bottom 10 in strikeouts per 9. Jankowski, Seager, Garver, still out for Texas. The Rangers are 75% to the over in their interleague contests. Atlanta went 10-5 to the over in their games against the American League. Give me Texas plus $1 over 10. Next matchup, Cubs at the Astros, 8:10 Minute Maid Park. Houston's minus 175 at home, total 7.5 runs. Christian Javier for Houston, Justin Steele for Chicago. Steele 6-0 with a 1.82 ERA. This Cubby lineup also leads the National League in road hits per game. Ian Happ's hitting .303. Patrick Wisdom's the club leader in homers and runs batted in. They're facing a Houston club who's cashing in on the run line in just 40% of their home games. This Houston lineup's averaging just 7.4 hits a game at Minute Maid Park. Brantley and Altuve still out. McCormick's questionable. Meanwhile, for Chicago, Horner's out with a hammy. Bellinger's questionable for them. The Astros went 60% to the under in their last 10 outings. 5-2 to the under in their last 7 interleague home games. Give me the Cubs plus 1.5, under 7.5. Next game, Guardians at the White Sox, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland's minus $1.25, totals 8. Shane Bieber for Cleveland, Lance Lynn for Chicago. Now Lynn's just 1-5 with an ERA in the 7s. And out of 30 contests against American League opponents, the White Sox have gotten the W only 9 times. Now they're going to have to take on Shane Bieber, who's got an ERA in the 2s, and he actually lost just 1 ball game this year. Now this Cleveland lineup's also done a great job making contact with the baseball. And what I mean by that is this. They're in the top 3 in the majors right now, and fewest strikeouts at the dish. Jose Ramirez, he leads the club in batting average. Josh Naylor, he has a team best 26 RBI. When it comes to the injury list, Andrews, Hamilton, Jimenez, and Gonzalez are all out for Chicago. Grandal is also questionable. The Sox saw their last 3 straight at Guaranteed Rate Field stay under the total. Meanwhile, Cleveland's 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Give me the Guardians minus $1.25, under 8. Next game, Reds, Rockies, 8:40 Eastern first pitch. Colorado's minus $1.25, totals 12. Chase Anderson for Colorado. Brandon Williamson making his debut for Cincinnati. Now, the Reds have had a tough time getting on the scoreboard while traveling. They're actually scoring fewer runs a game away from home than any other franchise except for one. Now, they're going to have to face Chase Anderson on the mound for the Rockies. And even though it's limited action, he's yet to allow an earned run through 5 innings of work. These Rocky batters are also averaging just about double-digit hits a game at Coors Field, doing a real good job getting base runners in the Mile High City. Chris Bryant leads the club in hits. Randall Grichuk's hitting .370 at the dish. Great to see him back in the lineup. C.J. Cron, he's on the 10-day IL for Colorado. T.J. Friedel, he's questionable for the Reds, since he also saw 3 out of their last 4 road games get over the number. They also went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 against Colorado. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of overs to go around. Give me the Rockies minus $1.25, over 12. Next contest, D-backs, A's, 9:40 p.m. East. Arizona's minus 145 on the road, totals 9. Tommy Henry for Arizona, Kyle Muller for Oakland. And out of 38 innings this year, Muller's got just one win on the season and an ERA in the 7s. And no real surprise here, guys. The A's still have the worst record in baseball, and they've yet to reach double-digit wins. They're facing a top 5 hitting lineup in Arizona. Jerry Perdomo's hitting .341 with an OPS close to 1,000. Meanwhile, Lourdes Gurriel, he has a handful of homers and leads the roster in hits. Now, injury-wise, Kelly and Lewis are out for the D-backs. Seth Brown is out for Oakland. Arizona 61% to the over as the road team. Give me Arizona minus 145, over 9. Next game, Royals Padres, 9:40 p.m. East. San Diego's minus 220, totals 8.5. Seth Lugo for San Diego, Brady Singer for Kansas City. Now Singer's just 2-4 with an ERA close to 8. And out of 20 road games, the Royals got the W only 6 times. They're facing Seth Lugo on the mound, who's got a winning record and an ERA in the low 3s. Now, the San Diego pitching staff allows under 7.9 hits per contest. Manny Machado's questionable. Campusano's still out. Meanwhile, for KC, Nicky Lopez and Drew Waters are still out for them. Now, the Royals are 60% to the under as the road team. Meanwhile, San Diego saw their last 4 interleague ball games stay under the number themselves. Give me the Padres minus 1.5, under 8.5. Next game, Phillies Giants, 9:45 Eastern first pitch. Philadelphia's minus $1.20, total 7.5. Zach Wheeler for Philadelphia, Alex Cobb for San Francisco. Cobb's got 41 strikeouts and a 1.70 ERA. The Giants also have a winning record at Chase Field. They're facing a Philly team who's got a .391 win percentage while traveling. They're also a bottom 10 run-producing team on the road. Kristen Pache is still out for Philly. Peterson, Slater, and Yastrzemski still out for San Francisco. 8 out of the Giants' last 10 meetings with the Fightins did get over. They actually averaged over 6.5 runs a game during that span. Give me the Giants plus $1, over 7.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be in that Twins-Dodgers game, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The LA Dodgers are minus $2, total 7.5. Clayton Kershaw for LA, Bailey Ober for Minnesota. Now, Ober's got a 1.85 ERA, and he's yet to record a loss. This Twins pitching staff also leads the majors in strikeouts. They're facing a Dodger team who averages nearly double-digit strikeouts a game. This Dodger lineup's also in the bottom 5 in hits per contest. Now, injury-wise, Max Kepler's out for the Twins. When it comes to the total, Minnesota saw 3 out of their last 4 on the road stay under. Meanwhile, LA 7-3 to the under in their last 10. Give me Minnesota plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our quick pick recap. Give me Baltimore minus 135, under 9.5. Pittsburgh plus $1, under 9. Washington Nationals plus 1.5, under 7.5. I'm 3-0, my last $3.99 daily best plays on my website. And if you sign up for that package here today, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days for just $1.99. Once again, my website is patreon.com/BrockPage. Give me Toronto minus 1.5, over 8.5 runs. Boston plus 1.5, over 9.5. Tampa Bay plus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Milwaukee plus 1.5, over 8. Texas plus $1, over 10. Chicago Cubs plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. Cleveland minus $1.25, under 8. Colorado minus $1.25, over 12. Arizona minus 145, over 9. San Diego minus 1.5, under 8.5. San Francisco plus $1, over 7.5 runs. And with my next and final free pick for the video, give me Minnesota plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs.